Welcome to Home Tech and Engineering video log. Today, we're going to discuss Nikon FM2 or Nikon FM, Nikon FE2 cameras locked up the shutter problem. Basically, we'll try to discuss how to diagnostic various kind of locking up issue with these cameras, or the possible way to fix these issues. On the YouTube video, there's a lot of videos. There are a lot of videos discuss how to fix the shutter locking up, but the shutter can lock up in so many different ways. So some of the locking up may be easy to resolve, and there are many other locking up problem, shutter locking up problem is relatively difficult. So we're going to discuss that. Let's start with this Nikon FM2 full manual mechanical camera, right? To see what we got. First, I open up the bottom plate, right? Let's see, it looks like we have a happy camera. Let's see if shutter work or not. Okay, let's do the film advance. So far so good. Let's see, release the shutter. Okay. Now you will see we have some issues, right? Look, it's locked up, right? You can see this pendulum still touch the film advanced wheel or cam, right? So the film advanced lever cannot advance the film anymore, and probably the mirror also locking up, right? Let's take a look to see if the mirror got locked up or not. Okay, you see the mirror locked up. So this type of lockup is the shutter lock up itself and the conjunction with the mirror, right? This is not not a very simple situation to get it unlocked. First, we try to move this pendulum a little bit, right, to see what's going to happen, right? Okay, we move it a little bit. Now, you see, the film advance cam continue to move, and the shutter is armed again, right? Let's see. Okay, Now this time, the pendulum return to release position. You can see the pendulum leave the can. So possibly, if I rewind the film advance lever, probably next shot it will work. At the same time, you can see the mirror is unlocked, right? The mirror is coming down, right? Now let's advance the film again, right? Okay. The shutter is armed again, right? Now the pendulum is engaged. Now I release the shutter. Well, we have the issue again. The pendulum doesn't move to release position. Now it's locking up again. Right? So we're going to repeat this, right? Also, you can see the mirror is locked up at the up position, doesn't come off. So this situation telling me the shutter release sequence doesn't complete. There's something in the shutter release sequence along with the mirror. It's stuck somewhere in the middle. Let's try again. Okay. Now the mirror coming down. Let's see if this time is better. Okay, the same thing happened. The same thing happened. So this is a complicated situation, right? I'm just keep doing this. Okay. But now I'm going to change the speed setting a little bit, right? The moment ago, we're using 1/8 of a second. Now I'm going to dial to 5/100ths of a second to see anything change, okay? Nothing changed. Nothing changed. So this is not a happy camera. The shutter and the mirror assembly still locking, okay? No, not a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance. Not a chance. Okay, Now, you see, after I release shutter, the pendulum moved to the release position. Look at that. Let's see the next try, okay? Okay, now the locking up problem seems to gone, right? So you have to remember what is the working order of the releasing pendulum and shutter cam, right? When you armed it, right, the pendulum touch the cam. When you release the shutter, the pendulum have to move back. Now everything working now. So now we clear up the lockup issue of this Nikon FM2 camera. Now it seems to be a happy camera now. You see? Everything is working. Right? Right? The mirror is happy. Right? But just don't think you solve the locking up problem, right? Usually, you should leave the camera, let it stay for a while, then try again to see the problem is indeed gone now, right? Then you can say, hey, you solved this locking up problem, or the problem's still there. That's kind of interesting, right? Now you see, right now everything fully working, right? You see, everything is working, right? And another thing is, remember each part in this area, what's the position when it's working, right? When the shutter release, what is the position, right? When the shutter is armed, what is the position? And remember that. If somehow these parts, 1, 2, 3, they're out of order, they end up stay in the wrong position, there's a problem. Now, I'm just saying, okay, the problem is temporarily solved. I'll leave the camera as it is for a while, then I'm going to retry to see everything's still working. Right? You see? And also, you need to leave the camera with the shutter release for a little while, then come back to see if it's still working. And also, you're going to need to leave the camera with shutter engaged. Leave it there for a while, then come back to see if it's working. Now you see the shutter is armed, it's engaged, right? You see, right now everything's still working, right? Now it's released. Now I'm going to leave the camera on the shutter engaged position. Leave it for a while, then to see if it's still working. Okay? Now, I leave it there, okay? Then move on to another Nikon FE camera. It has a different locking up problem, right? Let's see. This is a Nikon FE2, right? You know, to operate this camera, you need a battery, except one speed dial, right? M250, right? You don't need to have a battery. So we'll start at M250, right? You see, we have the problem with this camera. The mirror is not in the right position. Now you turn it over. You see, the film advanced cam and the shutter pendulum is relatively positioned. You see, we have issue. It's wrong. You see, you compare the previous one, right? The previous one, you do the comparison. That these two parts are not in the right position. You see? You can see that, right? The can stay in the wrong position, right? You see, this is slot, not horizontal. You see, this is, but this one is in the horizontal position, right? We know this camera shutter system has problem immediately. You see that? We cannot move the film advanced lever at all, right? So if you rock the can, you cannot even rock it. You cannot even turn it, right? If you manually push the lever back, it's still the same thing. So the lock-up issue with this camera is more severe. That's inside. There's a mechanism somewhere inside, right? Along with the mirror control box, right? Something wrong inside, not just in this area. So for this type of problem, you cannot just by twiggling manually turn around these two parts, these few parts, to make the shutter release sequence resynchronize, to make it resynchronize again, to make it work again. We have to do more investigation. So that's why I said Nikon FE, FM camera shutter can lock up in thousands different ways, right? Some of them can be relatively easy resolved, but other need to spend time. It's much harder, okay? So currently we cannot do too much on this camera, right? So probably I have to come back later to open it up to do the further diagnostic. We're not going to do too much with this one. Now, I'm going to move back to the previous one, Nikon FM2. Before we say we'll leave it in this position to see if it's still working, right? Now, this camera shutter is engaged. Now to see if we can release it right now. Okay, we release it. The pendulum is in the right order. Okay. Okay, it's still working. Okay. Now this is a happy camera. So what I'm going to do is now to leave the camera with shutter release. Now the shutter is released, right? You see the pendulum position, right? It's here, right? This is the right position. You see the linkage, the pendulum, and the wheel. The position when it's released, and in the proper working order, you can see that position. Now, if you look at this, problematic camera, right? It's completely out of, see, you see that, right? Compare this, so completely whacked, right? So, okay, now we know, so far, this is a happy camera, okay? I'm going to leave the camera here, probably overnight, then come back to see if it's still working, right? Then we can say the problem is resolved or not resolved, right? So that I just want make this clear. To fix Nikon FE, FM camera shutter release, the shutter locking up problem is not that easy, right? As some video shows, you just move a little bit, twiggling this part a little bit, put a little bit of oil, lubrication oil, everything will start working again. That's not, right? Okay, let's stop there, and I'll see you in next video. Thank you.